Hey there, how is everyone doing? What I wanted to talk today about is the planet Mars. Now, I was having a look at a study, or I was reviewing it because I already knew about this study, that analyzed the effect of Mars with sports people, right? So, because Mars is the planet of competitiveness, aggression, athleticism, and it makes people really go-getting and love challenges and want to win. It's definitely associated with sports. So you would anticipate that famous sports people are going to have Mars prominent in their chart. Now, this French study, which was actually from decades and decades ago, it's called the Gorquin study. And then there was a follow-up study in the Netherlands, which kind of reinforced the impact. And they said that most major sports people, not most, but a significant proportion of major sports people had Mars either very near their midheaven or their ascendant, right? And much more than the average population. So I'm going to look at a few sports people here and check out their Mars, because I found some surprising things going on with these placements. It's not, I would expect Mars to be in fire signs, so Mars in Aries, Sagittarius, or Leo. And I'd also expect strong placements in fire signs as well for these sportsmen. But I found something unusual in that Fairmount had Mars in Cancer, which I wouldn't really have anticipated. But it's sort of interesting because you'll find most of them do have a lot of fire signs in them, and also Virgo, which I'll come to now. Before I start, I was going to say it's really difficult to say that sportsmen will have Mars in a certain placement. Because if you're going to be a sportsman, one of the things that are important is that your family are going to support you, because you've got to decide really early on to start. Like when I went to tennis club, there were kids there and they were 7 years old, because we started when we were about 7 at the tennis club, and they were already playing tournaments. And if you're going to be successful in tennis, you've got to start early. Martina Hingis, for example, won Wimbledon at 16. So to start that early, you've got to have parents who can coach you, who know the ropes, who have the money, so you probably have to be middle class, and they have to be happy to ferry you around. I mean, unless you're lucky enough to be talent spotted by a coach, for a lot of sports, you need that parental commitment. So it's highly likely that loads of people out there have Mars in prominent places, but never had that opportunity, right? So, because like I say, it depends more on your parents than you, because they're going to have to do the graft and kind of help you with it. So I think it's very hard to say really that, oh, all sports people will have these placements, and people who didn't become professional sportsmen won't, because loads of people out there might have had the potential to be professional sports people but didn't have that same opportunity. So it's very difficult to gauge this, but it's still kind of fun to have a little look at. Obviously, there are other sports, for example, golf, which you can do at a later age. Maybe you can get into it as a teen, so you've got a lot more control over that. But there are plenty of other sports that, like swimming, tennis, the Olympic sports, that you have to get going on earlier. So let's have a look. Roger Federer, he's a Leo, and he's born on the 8th of August, a very lucky day that. You know, the Chinese and their 8th of August, super lucky day. Now, he was one of the ones with Mars in Cancer, which I really didn't expect, because Mars is in its detriment in Cancer. It's often weakened in some way, but it does also mean that he's giving energy to other people, giving pleasure to other people. So maybe that accounts for it. And he had Virgo rising. Now, having seen Federer, you know how he was always very pristine, very neat. His branding was always very just so, right? He had a perfectionist him. Even the craft in the way he played was very perfectionistic, and you could see he had a beautiful game plan. There was nothing iffy about his game. It was all perfectly put together, as you'd expect from Virgo rising. So there was this meticulous kind of very clean, swish way he played, which I think depicts Virgo rising perfectly. To keep on tennis for a second, we're going to go through a range of sports. Serena Williams, again, the Virgo, moon in Virgo. Virgo is also associated with health, sports, looking after yourself, and also to be an elite sports person these days, you've got to have that Virgo, because you've got to be totally committed to diet, because you know, sports is not like the old days. You know, in the old days when you used to have these fat cricketers, you know, like Ian Botham even, and they you know, that that weren't really about fitness. I remember when Arsene Wenger took over Arsenal, he revamped their dental care, their overall health care, because he saw that key to their performance as sports people was also general health. And therefore he emphasized that. And in the modern era, you see also with, I can't remember the name of the Ukrainian player, but she was showing a few years ago, Ukrainian tennis player. She's married to Gail Monfils. I can't remember her name. Maybe one of you guys will remind me. And she was showing her routine, and it's unbelievable. It's the gym, it's the exercise. Like every part of their day has to be geared towards like health, fitness, priming themselves to perfection. And I think that's why Virgo really helps it. I mean, Serena, they even said, one commentator said they once saw her in during the US Open. They saw her in the park there, New York Central Park, and she was doing like the splits and up a tree, because every part of her day she has to be exercising some part of her body. So Moon in Virgo, got to be obsessed with health to be good at sport these days. Serena has Mars in Leo, and that's what we're looking for. Mars in a fire sign. That's the competitive, never say die spirit. That's the tiger within that made her such a winner. And she is actually a Libran as well, which helps. I mean, Libran, very often very successful, all sorts of fields of life. Tiger Woods, now he's one where the Mars was on the midheaven. So bingo, he hit what that study said, that Mars is meant to be on the midheaven. Again, Tiger Woods, Virgo rising, same as Federer. That's why they got to the top of their game. Perfectionism, eye for detail. Tiger Woods, by incidentally, is a Capricorn, and he is Moon in Sag. So again, the emphasis of air signs. I'm looking for it with Moon and with Mars. So we've got, not the air signs, fire. So we've got the fire sign, Mars on the MC, and the Virgo again with Tiger Woods. Cristiano Ronaldo plays for Portugal, played for, was it Man United for a long time? Sorry, I'm not up on the Premier League at the moment. Bingo with him, Mars in Aries. So Mars exalted in Aries. It's the sign that it rules. Brilliant. That's a wonderful depiction for sportsmen. And Moon in Leo. So we've got our fire signs as well to give this competitiveness. You've got to be hungry. You've got to have that desire to win in sports. And that's why having these fire signs is so important, because you have to have that confidence, that optimism, that ability to really push yourself. Shane Warne, one of the best cricketers, loads of people will know him, unfortunately died not so long ago, a spin bowler. He's a Virgo. Mars conjunct Pluto and Virgo. And again, for a spinner, you have to pay attention to detail and be a perfectionist. And he was committed to the game, loved the game, analysed the game, was a scholar of cricket, hence so successful. And Mars in Sag. So Mars in the planet of sports, Sagittarius in a fire sign. Bingo, we've got our fire sign and our Virgo again. So I was thinking back in time, and I thought of Andre Agassi, right? I know he's Taurus. And he's a bit different. He's got Sun conjunct Saturn in Taurus, Mars in Gemini. And I think key to Agassi's success was actually staying power, grinding people out. He wasn't necessarily the most technical, the most flamboyant, the most talented player, but what he had was stickability, staying power, and he was dogged and so determined. That was key to his success. Okay, guys, another cricket example of South Africans. A.B. de Villiers, one of the finest all-round cricketers South Africa has ever had. He's a Aquarius, but he does have Mars and Saturn conjunct in Sagittarius. So we've got our bingo there with Mars in fiery Sagittarius. Fantastic for his sporting ability. And what's more, Moon in Leo. Moon in Leos just believe they can win. They've got so much self-belief. They feel quite entitled to win. A lot of inner self-worth, self-confidence, and they go for it. So again, we've got that Moon in Leo. See a lot of the parallels we're coming up against? Let's do tennis again. Steffi Graf, grew up watching her, phenomenal player. She's a little bit different, Sun in Gemini, but she's got Mars in Sagittarius, so it's a bingo on that. How much are we seeing Mars in Sag? And her Sun in Gemini is on her ascendant. That's why she was such an athlete, so strong, so powerful, so focused. Sun on the ascendant is also a sign of a person who's extremely athletic, fit, strong, great recuperative powers, and extremely competitive as well. Tyson Fury, boxer. He has, here we go to bingo again, Sun and Moon in Leo. Lion-hearted, and another bingo with Tyson Fury, Mars in Aries. So combative, so competitive, such a strong placement of Mars. So Mars there in Aries for Tyson Fury, and the Moon and Sun in Leo. Bingo for these fire signs. Didn't I say? Sports, fire signs, amazing. Let's have a look at Ayrton Senna. a racing driver, one of the best racing drivers in the era when I think Formula One was really more on driver skill. I think now it's more about the car. That's why I don't really watch it a lot anymore. Sorry, you might hate me if you don't think that, but still. Ayrton Senna, Sun Aries, bit different there. He's got Moon in Capricorn, so more committed. And he came up slowly, Senna. He was around a long time before he actually started hitting those wins. So it was the patience with him. He wasn't sort of upfront, all guns blazing and winning. It took more time for him to reach a pinnacle in his career. But very interesting. He died at the peak of his career, right? It was a tragic incident, totally unexpected. He has Neptune tightly conjunct his midheaven. Now, people who die sort of are cut down in the prime of their life, or die in a tragic way, or die resulting in a lot of an outpouring of grief, have Neptune on the midheaven. So it was interesting to see that. Okay, let's look at golf. Rory McIlroy. We did Tiger Woods. Rory McIlroy. He's another of these Mars in Cancer people, right? So we haven't had Mars in other signs really, only the fire signs, but also in Cancer. And he has, however, got Moon in Aries. So we've ticked the box with the fire sign. Moon in Aries. He's innately competitive, very independent spirited from a young age. He's like a go grab. I want, me. You know, I'm going to go and have it. I deserve it. Right. He is Sun Taurus as well, but like a Gussie, gives him that stickability. And Andrew Murray is also Taurus, by the way, but I didn't do his chart here. Sachin Tendulkar, most amazing Indian cricket player ever, batsman, did a small bit of spin bowling. He has his Sun and his Venus on the MC. So, yeah, shows his absolute fame and how adored he is, that particular placement. And Mars in Aquarius. I thought he was a little bit different to most, right? But yeah, he definitely had a lot of flair, very unusual. But as I say, he didn't really fit into any particular category, did old Sachin. Let's go to rugby. We've got Johnny Wilkinson. He's another Taurus, actually, and he's got a stellium in Taurus. And Mars in Taurus, yeah, Moon in Taurus. So he was another one along the lines of these Taurians, like McIlroy and Andy Murray and some others. So that was where, so he also is a little bit unusual, but maybe rugby is a bit different. But anyhow, this does show the stickability of the staying power, and similar in a way also to Andrea Gussie, who, as we saw, was Taurus. Let's go to swimming. Michael Phelps, record Olympic swimmer, and he has got Sun and Mars conjunct, which is kind of a thing. Sun-Mars conjunct gives you many of the characteristics of Aries, because that is a prime placement of the two competitive planets, and it's both in Cancer. So we've got our Mars in Cancer thing again. Maybe that's good for water, swimming, being a water sign. But he does have Moon in Air, Sagittarius, yes. So we've got that. And what's more important, his Sun and Mars are both on the ascendant. Remember, one of the things the Golquin study says Mars on an angle of the ascendant and the midheaven? Well, he's got that. And he's got the Sun on his ascendant, the same as Steffi Graf. So you can see why he's such a powerful athlete. Sun and Mars giving him such a wonderful physique, tall, fit, strong, resilient, powerful. I think that was pretty good. Almost forgotten Novak Djokovic, but we've got to do him. He's another one, Mars in Cancer, same as Federer. So I find that interesting. That is not what I would have expected at all as a placement, but it's coming up a number of times. But what do we have is Moon in Aries, right? We saw a lot of Moon in Aries. I don't know. Let's see how many of those were there. There were quite a lot of Moon in Arieses along the time. Rory McIlroy was a Moon in Aries, and I know there was more. Must be more than that. So yeah, so kind of hope you enjoyed that. If there's some other sportsmen I didn't mention, I mean, I was trying to go through a couple of the sports, but my sports knowledge at the moment, I used to be a very big sports fan, but after COVID, I kind of lost interest a little bit in the whole sports thing. So I probably haven't included enough of like the major people that are up playing at the moment. But it's not just about who they are, it's about the placements anyway. And a lot of those names you guys should recognize. So I think that was a fascinating look at these sports people. And I might do the same with pop stars and music, because for the music, I'm expecting to see a lot of Venus in Taurus, Venus in Pisces, and Cancer placements. So with the musicians, certainly looking for those, and maybe Moon in Sagittarius, because so many pop stars are wild, right? So you've got to have that. But I'm certainly looking for the musicality coming through the Taurus and Pisces placements, a little bit of Cancer, and as I say, something in there's got to be a bit of Sag. And obviously, Leo rising will be prevalent with all sorts of performers, won't it? So I'm going to brainstorm. If you want any pop stars that I should think about and look at, just pop it in, and I will look at them. Just pop me a note and say, oh, please include whoever in the broadcast, and I will. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. So fun to look at some different placements of these sports stars. And again, what are we seeing? Fire, fire, fire signs. And a little strange one there with the Mars in Cancer. Okay, guys, I'll see you all soon. I'll upload this so you can watch it again onto the stream to probably tomorrow, and onto my other channels. If you guys want to get in touch with any other questions, just pop me a note, let me know.